Welcome back to another EDH deck tech. This is my Rankle Master of Pranks deck. If anyone knows me very well, I absolutely love mono black. I've got 3 mono black decks now, and this one is one of the faves, I guess. The things I like about mono black, I love discarding cards, and I love making opponents sacrifice creatures, and I like drawing cards. And Rankle does all of those. So I just enjoy the symmetrical nature of Rankle and me trying as part of deck building to break that symmetry. We're all going to have the same effect, but my deck is built to handle it. So I'll be sacrificing cheap creatures I don't care about. I'll be discarding cards that I'm interested to discard, and then kind of bringing those cards back. I do joke that Rankle is a bit of a group hug because we're all doing the same thing. So yeah, and I just really enjoyed this. This is my pre-release version that I got. I opened it up and absolutely fell in love with Rankle. I just like the fantasy of this fairy rogue, causing mischief. So really enjoy it. So we'll go through the deck. First up, this one is so unique for this deck. I don't really play this in any other deck. It's the only real form of protection. Rankle does have some evasion with flying, but Cloaking Dagger will come in and will attach to Rankle for free. Give it Shroud, so just give it, some nice protection. And also 5 powers, is quite nice, but it's mainly there just for the protection. There are some other rogues as well that it can attach to, but yeah, it's just there just for some free value. I actually quite like this one. Yeah, quite enjoy it. Okay, so one of the things about Rankle is I want to be sacrificing creatures so that my opponents will have to also sacrifice. So I want cheap, unimportant creatures. So Bitter Blossom, every turn I'm just going to get a token that I'm going to be able to sacrifice. They are also rogues, so Cloak and Dagger can attach to them. And then Dreadhorde Invasion, very similar. You're not really going to get that 6 power clause because essentially I'm just going to really look to sacrifice it each turn. But it's more as a redundancy for Bitter Blossom. And then I actually have some creatures that I will sacrifice, and these are good because they'll just come back. So Bloodghast is great, it's super cheap, and it will just come back for every land that I put down. So great. Another trader, very similar, it will just keep coming back for 1 mana, which is good. And then the best of them all, Reassembling Skeleton, just super annoying, always coming back. I'll just hold 2 mana up, and at the end of turn, bring this back, then swing out with Rankle, sacrifice it, and the whole cycle happens again. So next up is a Renovation Package. So I am discarding cards as part of Rankle's trigger. So I do want to be putting cards into the graveyard. So I have some Reanimation, and Entomb's great for some selection. So if I really need to, I might Entomb turn 1, get like Bloodghast or something out super early, and then when Rankle comes out, I can already start sacrificing because I want to be controlling that board as much as possible. I don't want opponents having a lot of creatures because there's a lot of sacrificing of single creatures on their side, so I want to kind of keep it as minimal as possible. Entomb helps me to get that, or if I have a reanimation effect, maybe I'll put in like a big beater or something, and prepare to reanimate it. And then Buried Alive, very similar, but this one's only for creature cards, and I get to do 3. So I might do like 2 big black creatures and a Reassembling Skeleton or a Bloodghast or something like that, just so that I have some fodder that I can sacrifice, but also have some big things in the graveyard ready to go. Malachi Rebirth, just super cheap, one black for an instant, and I'm just going to bring something back if it dies. And I wouldn't normally play an effect like this, but it's a land on the other side, so it's just a nice to have and can be super cheap if they're going to target one of my creatures or there's a big board wipe, I can keep one of them around. But it's important because it's land on the other side. Reanimate, classic, just super cheap efficiency. You're going to lose life equal to its mana cost, but that's fine. You don't really care about that. It's just the fact that you're going to get one of those big cards out that you've just put into the graveyard. And then Animate Dead. It's nice because it's an enchantment. Adds one to Devotion. Yeah, again, it's just really efficient. And then I play Victimize in this deck. I don't play Victimize in too many, but I do often have a lot of cheap creatures that I'm, not really interested in keeping around. I do want to sacrifice. So if I'm buried alive, I'll go for like 2 big beaters and then just sacrifice the other random small thing that I got with it. So buried alive and Victimize work really well together. Okay, next up I've got some discard synergy. So I am discarding cards and I'm forcing opponents to discard cards as well. So there's a bit of synergy here. Waste Not, just great value. Depending on what they discard, you're going to get the same thing. You're going to get some value, sorry. And Bone Miser, this is for me. I'm going to discard. I have a lot of discard effects, so I get the same kind of value. Sangromancer, just because I will be losing a lot of life. Black players will often be targeted because a life is a resource for black players. So having Sangromancer is going to be great. I'm forcing all my opponents to discard and all my opponents to sacrifice. So if I hit with Rankle and I choose those triggers, I'm going to gain 18 life. I'm going to force my opponents each to sacrifice 3 creatures if they have them, and then discard 3 cards if they have them. Each being 9, so I'm going to get 18. So it's quite a nice health bump. And then Turgid, I'm forcing my opponents to sacrifice creatures and discard cards. So if they are permanents, which the creatures will be, but if they discard a permanent, I'm also going to get them. Turgid is a very powerful card, so make sure that your power group, your group is at that kind of power level. But very, very strong. Normally I'll do like Rankle on 4 mana, 5 mana Turgid, and then swing out with Rankle, and it's you're just gonna get so much value. Okay, just some generic great value cards in mono black. Each kind of working with Rankle's abilities. So I'm going to be having a lot of creatures die as well as my opponent's creatures. So if I have a Blood Artist out and a Rankle trigger, that's going to be hopefully 4 creatures dying. So I'm going to get those 4 triggers. So just great value. Liliana Herrera. I have a deck around Liliana entirely, but it's kind of one of my pet cards, I guess. But she does flip to help with the discard, as well as a nice ult. So, I love it. I've got a lot of creatures that I'm sacrificing, so, having it flip is not really a problem. Just make sure that it is non-token that dies. So, yep. Ophiomancer, another one, just kind of stop any kind of aggression. You're going to be generating Death Touch snakes each turn. So, I will sacrifice a snake, then I'm just going to get another one on the next player's upkeep. So great, and the Death Touch just deters people from swinging out at you. Opposition Agent, another strong card, so make sure your play group's at that kind of power level. But you're going to flash it out when someone tutors, essentially. Great to kind of just get somebody on a fetch land or cultivate or something like that. Yeah, great card. So Conrad the Grim, this is another one I include in a lot of black decks. Essentially, creatures dying and creatures coming back in my deck. So this is going to trigger quite a few times. So just a great value card just to start getting people's life totals down for some of our win conditions later on. So just great value. Machias the Unhollowed, another one where it's just really, really good for value. It's just going to be giving my creatures Undying. Obviously, it's not going to work with any of the tokens, but having Reassembling Skeleton come back or Bloodghast come back for Undying, just really, really good. And then Sheldred, which we run. This might be one of the big kind of beaters that I bring in. If Sheldred kind of makes the round around the table, then you're generally in a pretty good position. But I want to be keeping my opponent's boards under control, and then also I can return one of my creatures. So really nice. Sometimes it's quite difficult to kind of keep it around for the turn. Maybe that's where that Malachi Rebirth is quite nice to kind of help protect it. Okay, some draw. Skull Clamp. I make a lot of 1 toughness creatures. Reassembly Sound, Bloodghast, Nether Trader, all the tokens, they're all 1 toughness. So the fact is, when I start getting too many of them, I can just kill them off and just draw 2 cards. So Skull Clamp, really good. Night's Whisper, one that I include in a lot of my black decks. Just 2 mana to draw 2, just super efficient. Sign in Blood, very much same thing. This one is Tiger Player, so you could hit somebody that's maybe trying to, mill themselves out. Yeah, I got a nice little Mystical Archive one. Dark Deal. This one, sometimes I have in this deck, sometimes I don't. It's just great just to kind of start whittling down people's hands. Also really good with Tergrid. So you have Tergrid out and you play this. You may get a lot of permanents that way. So really, really nice. Once kind of Tergrid was printed, I've left this one in the deck. But yeah, just, if somebody's wheeled, you can wheel again and then just kind of get those cards out. Or maybe they've tooted, you can help to get rid of those cards. Necropotence, just really strong draw. It's super cheap and, you're just going to draw a lot of cards. I'm kind of a value Necropotence player, so, I'll just draw up to my maximum hand size. But if you really need, you can just try to go for a win, getting them at the end of turn and go for the next one. Frixion Arena, it's a bit slow sometimes, but it's nice. It has Devotion, so if you can get this early, it's really good. If it's late, then it's pretty much a dead card. Geth's Grimoire, this one I really, really like. So it's essentially a Siphon Mind each turn with Rankle. The only problem is that they are both 4 mana, Rankle and Geth's Grimoire. So, you have to kind of get this down first or have it come down a bit later. But the fact is your opponent's going to be discarding each a card and you're going to be drawing 3 cards. So really, really powerful. Bolas' Citadel, just super, super value. This is such a strong card. I play it in a lot of black decks. I don't really care about my life total too much. So you're just going to be playing things off the top of your deck. Try not to play lands out of your hand first, so that if you top deck one, you can play that, and then hopefully you don't top deck another one. And then Liliana, Dreadhorde's General, another one that's just, this one's just super value. I'm going to have a lot of creatures dying, so I will be drawing a lot of cards, but it also makes some nice blockers and a token that I can sacrifice, or just have, clear some of those creatures out with sacrificing them. And the ult is game winning. And Villas Broker's Blood, one of my favorite cards. So this one might be another one of those big beaters that I kind of put in with Buried Alive, but great with Reanimate. You'll put this in the graveyard, reanimate it. You'll lose 8, and then you'll draw 8 because of it. But just, pay 1 black, pay 2 life. You're going to draw 2 cards. Just great value. I don't care if I kill one of my tokens if I have to, just for 2 cards. Okay, some tutors. So I'm playing black, so I will play some tutors in this one. So Expedition Map goes and gets any land. I have a lot of great, powerful lands, so kind of getting this out early is really good. Vampiric Tutor, super cheap, super efficient, instant. Play at the end of my opponent's turn and then draw that card. It's going to be great. Demonic Tutor, classic. Search my my library for anything. It's going to be super good. Diabolic Intent. It's essentially Demonic Tutor, but I have to sacrifice a creature, which I have plenty of tokens to sacrifice, or little creatures to sacrifice. I I'm just going to get the same value, so it's really good. Razaketh the Far-Blooded, another one of those big kind of beaters. This one, pay 2 life, so it's not really a problem, and sacrifice of creatures is not really a problem, but it is instant speed, so if I can get this out at end of turn, on my opponent's turn, I'll just sacrifice, all my creatures that I can, just to then have an optimal hand that I play on my next turn. So really nice. Okay, removal. So I do want to try to control the board. Sometimes, when your opponents have 2 creatures, they're going to sacrifice their worst one. Maybe I want to kind of be able to get rid of one earlier so that it will sacrifice when my Rankle trigger goes off. So Tragic Slip, just super cheap, 1 mana. The Morbid effect is really easy for us to kind of get. So -13 is going to kill, almost anything, and get around indestructible. So got a lot of those kind of effects. Feed the Swarm, just really versatile. It's going to allow us to get some of those enchantments that we weren't normally able to get. So just great, efficient. It's a pity it's a sorcery. Force of Despair. This one's one that I've been putting in my black decks. You do have to play it at the right time, but if your opponent is kind of going off, maybe they make some like infinite tokens, you can handle it instantly, and it's just 1 card to exile, so it's not too bad. I do try to make sure that I 2 for 1 because I am getting rid of a card, so I do want to try and hit 3-4 creatures, but it's nice. Baffle Mastery, this one's a new one from Strixhaven that I've been trying out in my black decks. I just like the fact it's exile. Now, normally, this effect costs about 4 usually, but just having it cost 2 is just really cheap, really efficient, and it is an opponent draws a card, so it doesn't have to be the person that loses the permanent. So, you can give it to the person that maybe is about to lose, or, just has no heart and no cards anyway, and you're just going to get them to discard it, so whatever. So yeah, quite nice. Deadly Rollick, yeah. Rankle is a not necessarily an important part of the deck, but is plays a vital role. So I will have it out. So having this effect come on for free is just really great. Grave Pact, I'm going to be sacrificing a lot of creatures, so forcing my opponents to sacrifice creatures when I'm sacrificing creatures. Just really good. Dictator of Everest, same thing, but with flash. And then some board wipes. I'm going to try and control the board as much as possible. So I've got a few board wipes here just in case. So Toxic Deluge, -X, so it's going to get around indestructible. So just super cheap and efficient. Damnation, classic, 4 mana, just going to destroy everything. And then Mutilate. I play a lot of swamps, so the -1 will help get around indestructible and things like that. So normally this is like -6. And it's going to get rid of a lot, maybe mid-game, and then late in the game it's going to get pretty much get rid of everything. I think the most I had was -13, so quite nice. And now I have some mana doubling effects in here. So it is kind of a big black mana kind of deck. So I have some effects that are going to help me double my mana. So Crypt Gas, nice and cheap. It's going to let me double my swamps. I play a lot of swamps, and the Extort is nice just for a little life gain. Black Market, a lot of my creatures are going to die, and hopefully a lot of my opponent's creatures are going to die. So this will get counters quickly. It is an enchantment, so it's a bit harder to remove, but I'm going to be getting that mana boost, which is quite nice. Magus of the Coffers, essentially it's just Cabal Coffers on a creature. It's a bit of a pity that it's going to have Summoning Sickness, but if it does stay around, you're going to be getting a lot of mana. So it's probably the weakest of those effects. And then Nakana Revenant, 6 mana, so it is more expensive, but it is going to double my swamps, and I can, pump it up if I really need to, but it's really there just for the doubling of the swamps. Might be something that I could reanimate quite early, just to get that mana boost. Okay, so ramp, Dark Ritual, classics, going to put 3 mana. You might turn 1 Necropotence, or something like that, or turn 1 Opposition Agent if someone's cracking a fetch. So really nice. Soul Ring, classic. Arcane Signet, now classic. Fellwar Stone, it's great. An opponent will usually be playing black, so it's going to be usually black, else it's going to be, colorless for you. So yeah, really have a focus on 2 mana rocks because Rankle is 4 mana, so it allows me to play Rankle on turn 3. Jet Medallion, I play a lot of black spells, so it's going to be great. Mind Stone, another 2 mana rock. Thought Vessel, another one. Pitiless Plunderer, I'm going to be having a lot of creatures dying, so just having that treasure is really nice just to kind of bank it up. Crick, Son of Yawgmoth, I put this in the ramp section because it's going to make all my black mana Frixion, and I have a lot of black mana pips. So it's quite nice just to kind of get the cheap. You can get this out early, and then, you just start filling the board. All right, and then some win conditions. So in Sanguinate, this one, if you've got your opponents down low enough, then this can be a win condition. But sometimes this is really just to cement my lead. I might exsanguinate for, I don't know, 10 or something like that, just to give me 30 life and give me a swing of 30 life for my opponents. So just to kind of cement it, make sure that I have enough buffer for maybe my Bolas Citadel or something like that. It's quite nice. Torment of Hellfire, if you've seen some of my other videos, then this one is my favorite spell. Just this one is game ending. People have discarded their hands. They're low on resources. They don't have many creatures to sacrifice. So Torment of Hellfire X is 10. It's not a problem, and it's used to game winning. And then Grey Merchant of Asphodel. I mentioned Devotion on some of the other things like Animate Dead and Frixion Arena. It's just nice to have those around. So then Grey Merchant comes, and it's another one where it's like a Sanguinate. It's going to be such a large life swing. And with reanimation effects, I can bring this back. I think I had Grey Merchant and Razaketh, so then I just Grey Merchant, then sacrificed it to Razaketh to go get it reanimate, to then just reanimate it back, and it was pretty much game over. It's like Devotion 15 or something. So it's really good. All right, lands. So I do play a lot of swamps, but there are a few utility lands in here. So Ancient Tomb, just great to get that mana out and running. Rankle does have 2 generic costs in it, so playing 2 swamps and Ancient Tomb, you're going to get your Rankle out earlier, which is great. Bajuka Bog, some graveyard hate, really important. Okay, Cabal Coffers, very powerful land. This is something that you'd go for your expedition map. But it's with 3 swamps out, it essentially taps for the black mana. Just really powerful. So you want swamps in this deck. And then Cabal Stronghold, I guess like a baby cousin to Cabal Coffers. Do note that this one is only basic swamps you control, where Cabal Coffers is all swamps that you control. So do note that difference. So you do want to play a lot of basics with this one, but you're going to be having to have 5 basic swamps or so just to start earning some extra mana. So yeah, keep that in mind. Nixos, Shrine of Nyx, again another devotion. This one's also another kind of baby Cabal Coffers, where my devotion maybe is something like 5, 6 at a time. Just tapping to this and 2 mana, you're going to be doubling your mana. So really powerful because I have a lot of permanents. Frixion Tower, another one. I might have Dreadhorde Invasion and Bitter Blossom out, so I have a bit of redundancy. So sacrificing one of those tokens for the extra mana boost is really powerful. Shizo, sorry, Death's Storehouse. This one is really good. It comes in untapped, it taps for black mana, but it also gives Rankle Fear. So if somebody's playing a Flyers deck or something like that, and I can't swing through, then this is just kind of nice. This might be one of the weaker lands in the deck. Normally I find with Rankle, somebody doesn't have blockers. So you usually are going to get the swing. You only have to hit one person and then everyone's going to have the effect. But just in case, Shizo will help you get through. Strip Mine. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I generally play one kind of land destruction land in my decks. Depending on the budget, it will either be like Strip Mine, Wasteland, or Ghost Quarter. So Strip Mine's just really powerful. Somebody will be playing Gaia's Cradle, Field of the Dead, Cabal Coffers themselves. So it's nice to get rid of those. Then Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, turns everything into a swamp. I have been asked why kind of playing this deck when I have so many actual swamps. And the fact is that just turning Cabal Coffers itself into a swamp, so it counts itself, and any other utility land that I have, every single swamp that I have is just super important. So the more swamps I have, the better. And any one land that isn't a swamp is a detriment unless this is out. And then I have 26 swamps. Again, just to kind of help with Cabal Stronghold and Cabal Coffers. If you have 3 swamps, then Cabal Coffers is going to essentially tap for a mana itself, which is good. And any more than that, it's going to be a good bonus. So I really, really enjoy Rankle. Just great when it comes to mono black. It really emphasizes everything that's fun about mono black. Not fun for your opponents, but fun for yourself. So make sure that you have that kind of level of play group when you're playing some of these kind of stronger mono blacks. It is why I like playing mono black. These strong kind of sacrifice my opponents' permanents or discard my opponent's hands, those kind of things. It's what I really enjoy, so I do tend to make some of my mono black decks on the mostly stronger side. But if you like a lot of different aspects about mono black, then Rankle kind of suits the average where it's a bit of everything. So I hope you enjoy. I definitely love this deck. Thanks.